Hey guys, Matt here from Spring Digital. Creating the next big idea for an app or software program is all the rage. You just need to look at those huge valuations, stock market listings, and the household names in technology to understand why so many people want to play in this space. But if you're thinking, hey, I have an idea for an app, now what? Then you've come to the right place. As a developer myself, I've had a ton of conversations about the next step. My answer is always the same. Getting started with an app or software program is no different than starting any business venture. It starts with business fundamentals. So in this video, I want to share with you 5 steps you need to take before venturing off on the development process. You wouldn't start a business without a business plan, right? So don't start an app or software program without one either. Step 1 is all about defining your goals. The very first milestone in any kind of project management is setting goals. If you don't know your destination, how can you possibly know the directions you need to take to get there? Some of the key questions we ask our clients are: what do you hope this project will achieve? When and how will the outcome be achieved? And how much will it cost you to do all of this? Budgeting is also an important part of defining your goals. You can't achieve your development goals if you can't afford it, right? And when you're thinking about the resources you need to achieve your desired outcome, you need to think about your staffing requirements to test and launch the product, not just how much it's going to cost to develop the product. Remember the business fundamentals. Your project goals should be consistent with your overall business goals. It's so easy to get caught up in the excitement of the different details of the development process, so having these goals will remind you about your primary objective throughout the project's life cycle. This way, you can stay on track and achieve specific benchmarks. The second step to getting started is defining the personas. Now, you're probably wondering what a persona actually means in the context of app development, but don't worry, a lot of people get confused at this stage. Basically, a persona is made up of a person that represents your future users. Think Sarah, the savvy internet shopper, or Olivia, the avid gamer and environmentalist. So essentially, this process involves getting into the mind of your ideal customers. I would suggest coming up with at least 3 to 5 different personas. With our clients at Spring Digital, we keep it simple. We tell them to get out a piece of paper and give each of their personas a name. Once they have the name, do a bit of research to gather accurate data that will allow us to generate the complete user profile. Once you've got some data about your persona's behavior, their demographics, pains, gains, and currently used solutions, you can analyze that data and the users according to their unique characteristics and behavior patterns. And then you give each of them a personal profile. And you can ask yourself why the persona would need your product, how they can benefit from it, and what problems your product aims to solve for them. You probably realize at this point that your product will represent a bunch of needs for different customers, but you should respond to each customer's needs, problems, and goals differently and uniquely. So that was step 2. Step 3 is all about defining your budget. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that this is a pretty crucial step. I like to tell my clients to define a responsible budget. And a responsible budget should give you enough capital to create the software that starts paying for itself. We use a specific process for our clients, but no matter who you work with, their process can help you put together a responsible budget for your project. Firstly, you need to estimate how much the software is worth to you. How much do you hope to earn from it? Building a model requires an understanding of the business and the project in detail to get an idea of this. Then, you need to have a ballpark estimate of how much the project will cost you. I would suggest getting estimates from at least 3 different development agencies. Each agency has a different process for their estimations. Given the fact that we've been doing this for over 15 years, we've seen just about every type of project and budget out there. Our process involves identifying features, risks, and unknowns, and then presenting you with a budget range that we believe will give you enough capital to succeed. But the more detailed the agency response is, the better, because it will give you an idea of how much transparency you can expect for them going forward. In my personal opinion, the more detailed proposals are, the better they usually are. But that, of course, is just a general rule. Always read through everything. At the very least, you're looking for a clear understanding of your problem, a detailed analysis of the method, milestones, cost, and time it will take to complete your project. The reality of software development is that new ideas are going to keep popping up along the way. And your initial budget might not cover that. Unexpected risks might also pop up that then add to the complexity of the project. Once you've got your estimate, you should aim to secure funding of at least 150% of that amount, whether it's from personal capital or external investing. Also, don't forget to add internal costs like marketing, ongoing support, and executive time. So definitely get at least 1.5 times the amount of your ballpark estimate. Once you have a budget set, the next step is to start defining your features. I really can't emphasize this enough, but you don't want to develop an app that has unnecessary features. It's one of the biggest reasons why projects end up failing. We use a tool called story mapping for this step. It gives you a better understanding of the products by putting yourself in the user's shoes. How are they going to perceive the product? A lot of founders of business find this a little bit daunting to start with, but it's actually quite simple. We use the following statement formula. As a certain user, I want to take a certain action so that I get a certain benefit. Let me show you an example. As a shopper, I want to receive an email after I fill in my sign-up form to confirm that my account was set up successfully. There you go, one feature you need to work on. This step is a very much natural progression from the persona stages, so you'll develop user stories based on the personas that you've created and how they might interact with the product. The final step is about grouping all of these user stories into sections. We call these groups epics. Look, I'll be the first one to tell you that software people, like stockbrokers, use fancy words for quite simple things. And I don't know if this is to deliberately confuse people, but this is just how they've named them. So that's where the word epics comes in. If we use the sign-up form example again, features like forgot password, login or join stories might be grouped into the system access epic. If you can get through each of these 5 steps, you should be able to walk into meetings with potential software development agencies and start working on timelines, budgets, and effort definition. Of course, there'll still be some unpacking to do with the agency, but it's a very strong position to be in. Over time, and from running Spring Digital, we've realized that we need to support our clients holistically because each idea can be game-changing and it needs to be more than just code. And so that is why we always advocate that you start planning your app or software project just like you would any other business venture. You've got to be clear on your vision, goals, pain points, and requirements to help you create the best product that has the best chance for success, rather than something that's half-baked. I hope you found this video insightful. If you're ready to take the next step, you can get in touch with us at Spring Digital. Or, if you need more clarification, feel free to drop your questions in the comment section below. Otherwise, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to learn more about bringing your app or software idea to life. See you next time.